Hola a todos, espero que ustedes estén muy bien, manteniéndose sanos. I hope you guys are all doing well, staying healthy, remaining healthy, staying safe. I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about this week here in Spanish 4. What are the requirements that you have? As you know, we're going to keep going with the project. But I do ask for your flexibility. As you know, Governor Pritzker recently announced that school closings are going to continue until April 8th, which is 2 days after our projected original timeline. And I'm just asking for your flexibility throughout this. Originally, I was going to have you guys do I gave you some options that you could have done and explain everything. You could have done a Wii video as your final product. You could have done a Bear book. I'm just asking for your flexibility with this because obviously we're going to have to be somewhat more just taking this day by day. We don't, even as teachers, I mentioned to you in class, we don't really have much information. I'm learning alongside of all of you. I'm getting updates when you get updates, so I just ask for your flexibility through all of this. I will keep you as updated as possible. I promise I will not be unreasonable in terms of what I ask of you. So thank you for your flexibility. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the project, how to move forward. So last week, you should have turned in your completed research organizer to me. If you didn't have that done, you're going to be working twice as hard at this point because what you need is to have your research organizer you're going to be utilizing to create your storyboard. So once you go to Classroom, you're going to notice on the Classwork tab that there will be an assignment called Storyboard for Migration Project. You're going to have 3 documents attached. The first one's called Storyboard 1920 via Kami. If you did not install Kami yet, you need to make sure to have that extension installed at this point. There's going to be another document called Palabras de Transición. I'll talk about that, as well as the expresiones adicionales para utilizar. Make sure again that you have Kami installed. So we're going to go ahead and start with this document. When you open the document, this is the storyboard that we would have completed in class. I actually would have had you do this in class and you would have turned it into me each day, but we have to be flexible at this point to achieve our same goals. I'm going to ask, before we even start, I'm asking that all of the work that you complete on this document, I'm giving up a little bit of my own power here, I guess I want to say. I'm asking that all the work that you turn in is your own and it's original. I realize in this world right now that you have access at home to translators, to resources that maybe are not your own. So I'm going to ask throughout this project that the work that you put in Spanish is your own work. I will not be accepting work that is not your own, so please make sure that all of the work that you turn in is your own. Now that we are almost in April, I have an idea. I have a really good idea of all of your ability levels, things that you produce in class. So if I find something that I feel like is not a reflection of your nature, you will not be receiving credit on this assignment. So again, I'm trusting you that you are going to complete work that is your own and is original and authentic. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up this document where it says storyboard. You're going to open it with Kami. Kami is this extension that we installed last week. First thing, just make sure when you open up the document that where it says save, that you have this autosave option clicked, just so that all your work gets all of your work is saved automatically. And you're going to also notice that your storyboard should save to your drive in this format. So if you want to come back and revisit this or continue adding to it, you should only have to go to My Drive Storyboard 1920 instead of having to go to Classroom every time like we just did. You should not have to repeat this process every time. Also, to the left-hand side, you're going to see the text box. You're going to want to use that text box with the letter T right here. You're going to want to use this to add text box continually to add in your text. And you can change the font, you can change the size, etc. Now let me take the opportunity to kind of explain how does this document storyboard match up to your research organizer. You're going to notice that each page, first of all, this document is pretty lengthy. The reason for that is I duplicated multiple pages. I think what I did is this all consists of 6 pages. So what I did is each page is duplicated 2 times. So this first page is the same as this second page. This third page is connected to there's the same with the 4th page, and the reason I did that is in case you want to add more content. So the way you're gonna, basically the project will work is when you actually come to do your final product, which we're not there yet, you're gonna really work from left to right. So you would take the pages and move from left to right. So if I did page 1 and page 3, which is the assimilation part, what you would do is then you would take this document when it comes time to like putting your final project together. This would be the first page to the right. You would lay it out so that page 3 was really your second page. Obviously we can talk more about that as we get closer, but I duplicated the pages. So the first row here is basically you're going to put in what will appear and what are you trying to communicate. You can obviously write that in English, like what is going to be your main idea here to make sure you convey, and that's going to drive the content. Where it says script and research in the second row, all of this language, when and why did your ancestors or people like them leave their homeland, that's coming from the research organizer. So you should take all of your content over here and make sure that that's written in Spanish over here. Mood, music, is there going to be music that you're going to put in the background? You should have music, you should have sound, you should have pictures. Obviously when we come time to this, make sure that your mood doesn't, that you ensure the mood, but that your music isn't outweighing your voice when you record. As you keep going down further into the document, you're going to notice that how were your ancestors or people like them perceived? So this deals with the perception part. So basically you would take your perception component of the document and that will go in here. This deals with the assimilation. Okay. And then at the end, one thing I'm going to ask you to have and I didn't include this, but you should, you can add a new page if you want. One thing that you should do is make sure that you have some kind of a summary at the end, or like an overarching thought about your family's immigration process at the end of the document. And you can do add page, and you can actually put your reflection at the end, but you should have some kind of an overarching reflection that answers these questions. Now I'm going to go back to Google Classroom because I wanted to talk a little bit about these other documents here. So let's talk the first document that I posted for you is called Palabras de Transición, Mejorando su Trabajo Oral y Escrito. These are some transition words that I would encourage you to use so that your language doesn't sound so robotic. You can actually throw in some of these words to narrate your message. So here's a document that I left. I encourage you to use some of these words when you actually put together your storyboard. The second thing that I'm going to mention, I did not, when you put together your actual storyboards, I did not require you to have formal citations. I asked you to put in some kind of a language, some kind of blurb. You copied and pasted the source. But really what I'm going to ask you to do, instead of having a formal citation, I do want you to make reference to your sources. So here are some expressions that you can use to make reference to your sources. So number 5 is really something that I would like you to use frequently, de acuerdo con or según. So according to Pew Research, según Pew Research, or de acuerdo con Pew Research, then you would give your fact. You can use these other expressions, ambas fuentes, el artículo, como afirma, describe, indica, muestre, o muestra, los datos muestran, la entrevista, esto demuestra que, el gráfico, la primera, segunda, tercera fuente, the sources, la razón por la que, referente a lo que dice, relata la fuente, la tabla. So if you're making reference to the sources, here are some expressions that you can use. So I appreciate your attention. I hope that this video was helpful. We're really just going to be taking this to spring break. Another thing that I'm going to ask is if you would like some feedback. I'm going to ask, instead of us going back and forth on email, I find this document, because of the length of this document, I would prefer that we all, maybe not all, but if you're interested in getting some feedback on the document, I'd prefer that we would sit down and have a Google Meet session or a Zoom session. So if that's something that you're interested in, obviously let me know. I'm going to ask, instead of, if you have specific questions to your project, I'm going to ask for more of a Google Meet session. If you have more just overarching questions about just the project, the timeline, the final product, things of that nature, that's fine via email. But if we're going to be going nitty-gritty, or I'm going to have to explain to you, give you some feedback in Spanish, or something that's just kind of overarching and lengthy you think would be better off having a conversation with, please make sure to let me know, and we can set up a Google Meet session. Email me and we can obviously set that up, and I'd be more than willing to make that happen for you. So I'm going to post this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Wish you guys all the best. Keep me posted if you have any questions or concerns. Les deseo lo mejor. Nos vemos. Que se cuiden. Adiós.